Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Now for today's video, we're not going to be doing the new character experience progression series that I have been uploading. We will be playing on my new character though. We're going to be showcasing a new build. And the purpose of this video is to go in detail. I'll be narrating over some fights to show you what I could have done differently, what you should be looking for in fights in Stalker Corrupted Dungeons, and yeah, hopefully just giving you guys some tips and a somewhat easy to follow guide for a new player on Stalker Corrupted Dungeons. Now to really get this video a little bit more interesting, I am also going to be doing a giveaway. So if you guys would like to enter, just comment down below. Hopefully something that you found useful in this guide, or anything that you liked in the video or disliked. Any feedback at all is appreciated, and just include your in-game name would be fantastic, and I will just do like I'll pick a comment at random in let's say 5 days from when I upload this video. We will pick someone and you will be getting a SPECTRAL DIREBOAR. Now they're about 2.1 mil in Carolina market. Their estimated market price is 2.2 mil. So prices can vary obviously, but yeah, you'll be getting a SPECTRAL DIREBOAR from me to you as a thanks for watching my videos. And yeah, I'll definitely be doing some more giveaways later on, because obviously the economy on this character is getting stronger and stronger every day. So I can definitely share a little bit of my wealth with you guys for sure. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've been working on this one for a little while, so yeah, leave a like, comment with your in-game name to enter the giveaway, and thanks for watching. Alrighty, so starting off the guide, we're going to be looking at my recommended weapons. And I'll be including the build that I would recommend with these weapons as well. So starting off, we're going to be looking at the one-handed sword, or the broadsword. Now this build is very strong in terms of damage, because the E on the broadsword has a very low cooldown of only 10 seconds. And combine that with the mage robe and a taproot, you're going to be doing way more damage than people can deal with, and you have a lot of movement speed because of your Q stacks on swords gives you movement speed, as well as Iron Will on the W slot will also give you a stack of the Q, or just more movement speed in general. So the broadsword is definitely a good option. I would also recommend the claymore, but I feel like they're a little bit different in their playstyle, and I would recommend the broadsword over the claymore, personally. Now the one-handed mace I would recommend with a leather armor and not mage robe. I would recommend an assassin jacket, just because of the reflect. You could obviously use a mage robe if you'd like, but I think just having a little bit more tankiness on the mace is probably better than this build that I found. But yeah, it's definitely a very strong build. The mace has 2 leap abilities that snare and stun. Snare is on the W and the stun is on the E. So you can use those to either get away or to do a large chunk of damage to someone without them really expecting it. So it's always more damage than what someone expects from a mace. And their movement is pretty nuts as well. Going on to the bows, or at least the hunter section of the tree, I would recommend the regular bow. Or actually I'm going to be recommending 4 different bows, because they're all honestly very viable. But the regular bow is definitely a very easy to play build. You just combine it with the Hellion Hood, which gives you an invisibility, but you will be silenced. But this doesn't really matter on the bow, because your E is really all you need. and you just auto attack. And combine that with Mercenary Jacket and you'll get a lot of healing, and it's a very cheap build and a very effective build, and I would recommend using Frost Shot and trying to kite at least a little bit, even though most people will just go with Explosive Shot. But I do recommend kiting with every build, at least somewhat, to have some movement. Now with the Baton Bow, you're definitely going to be wanting to kite, so yeah, always be on Frost Shot for the Baton Bow. And the Baton Bow's E is very unique. It hits a ton of times. It hits every 0.3 seconds for like a guaranteed 10 hits or something. So the Mercenary Jacket is very effective with the Baton Bow, which is why I've recommended it here. Honestly, with the bows, if you use something like an omelet, like a cooldown reduction food, and use Frost Shot with combined with a regular run ability, there's almost no one that's going to be able to catch up to you, and that's what makes the bows so strong in general. They're able to just kite and kite and kite, and with the Baton Bow in particular, all they have to do is hit their E once every 30 seconds is the cooldown on it, and maybe hit you with a few of the snipey Qs, and yeah, you'll lose the fight. It's definitely a very strong weapon, and the fact that they can so instantly get the healing off of the Mercenary Jacket is definitely pretty scary. So Baton Bow, definitely a recommended weapon. Now in this, it's sort of similar to the Baton Bow, but the Whispering Bow definitely has a bit of a different playstyle, in that you're going to be wanting to auto attack with the E ability up and then moving back every time that you auto attack. Now I would recommend, you can use Hunter Hood or you can use the Hellion Hood from the regular bow build, but essentially you're just going to kite and kite and kite, and if someone ever gets to you while you don't have Frost Shot or your run ability up, you're gonna just pop your Hunter Hood or your Hellion Hood and be essentially immune to damage until your Frost Shot is up again, and then you can just continue kiting them. So a very strong build there as well. And the Warbow is just like the Whispering Bow, except you only hit the E. Well, I guess it's more similar to the Baton Bow in that regard. But again, another weapon where you're just going to want to use the Frost Shot W, just to get a little bit more movement speed, a little bit more mobility out of the build, and it's definitely very effective at doing that. So for the Warbow, just hit the E, use your Assassin Jacket as your invisibility. If they get too close to you, then just Frost Shot away again, and rinse and repeat. Just keep them running, keep them chasing you, and then eventually they'll turn, and then you turn on them, and yeah, you win the fight pretty much. Now, the one-handed spear. Obviously, I've been playing this on my new character experience series, so you'll probably be familiar with it. This build here is really the one that I've had the most success with. The Armor of Valor is very strong for certain builds, counter certain builds. Now, the Armor of Valor will shoot back bolts of energy when someone hits you with an ability or whenever you take damage. So, and those balls will silence you as well. It's very effective against something like a bolt casters, even something like a curse staff. Anything with bleeds in particular, it's going to counter that pretty hard. And it also counts as a CC. It's a CC immunity pretty much when you are channeling the Armor of Valor. So if someone tries to stun you or hit you with a silence, for example, it's not going to go through the Armor of Valor. So you can definitely outplay someone with that. And with the Fiend Cowl, it's really just to deal with pesky Mercenary Jackets. It's definitely not needed. You can also use a Mage Cowl, because all the cowls have a shared ability that knocks people back. Going on to the Daybreaker, I would also recommend. It's very, very similar to the one-handed spear. but it has instead of a knock up and interrupt on the E, it has a purge on the E. So it's pretty much going to be the same exact build. Just go ahead and swap out the Fiend Cowl for a Mage Cowl in this build, because you have a purge on the E, so you don't need 2 purges. The One-Handed Spear and the Daybreaker are very similar weapons, so kind of just depends on if you really hate Mercenary Jacket, you can use the Daybreaker. If you really hate, I don't know, something like crossbow bowcasters and you want to get interrupts, then the One-Handed Spear is what I would recommend. Now going on to Quarterstaff. The regular Quarterstaff is really strong. It's going to be using the Mage Cowl with the Dislocate, the knockback ability again, and Knight Armor just to push someone into a trap or into mobs and keep them there with Knight Armor. It's an incredible meta pick right now. Pretty much, if you play Slayer Corrupted Dungeons, you're going to know that pretty much everyone plays Quarterstaff. So, well, not everyone, but it is a very meta pick, and it's very hard to deal with, and you'll almost never die because they have so much movement speed, so much mobility. So yeah, definitely recommend the Quarterstaff, especially if you're a new player. It's easy to play. It's at least easy to get away from a sticky situation. It can be a little bit more difficult to knock people into traps and things like that, but it's just going to require a little bit of practice, but it honestly doesn't take that long to get used to knocking people back. So I definitely recommend the Quarterstaff. Now in the same vein as the Quarterstaff, you have the Grail Seeker. It has a little bit of a different E, where it's going to be a really, really long route. So what people like to do is do the knockback, and just do the knockback with the Mage Cowl and then hit the E from Grail Seeker, and they'll usually be stuck in a trap for a long time if they don't have any way of getting out. So the Grail Seeker is definitely a good option, probably even more so for knockbacks and traps than the regular Quarterstaff is. And going on to the build that I'm going to be using in this video, it's going to be the One-Handed Frost. It's an incredibly strong weapon, incredibly strong build in general. You have pretty much one of the most capable kiting builds in the game, because the E is an instant cast route. You have the W ability, which is a pretty long teleport with an iframe attached to it, so you can actually avoid damage if you use the W properly. And the Q ability, the first Q ability there, will also slow enemies. So it is definitely hard to deal with a Frost Staff, and the fact that it's one-handed means that you can use, instead of a Tome of Spells, you could use either a Taproot or a Mist Caller, and essentially if you use a Mist Caller, then you have more movement speed than pretty much anyone. Now you could also use the Chill Howl, which is very similar to the One-Handed Frost. Just has a little bit of a different E again, does more damage, but takes 2 seconds to activate, and you can use it on yourself. It's quite different, but I would recommend the One-Handed Frost for a new player. It's cheaper and probably more effective, at least right now in the meta. The One-Handed Frost is definitely more popular. As you can see, a common theme throughout all of these weapons and builds is going to be having a lot of mobility, and I think for a new person coming into Albion and playing Corrupted Dungeons, having more mobility is going to be better than just having raw damage with something like Black Hands or a crossbow build, because you can actually get away from someone and reset the fight. Now, this is really important for winning fights, is to just reset the fight if it's not going your way, and you need to remember to do that. And if you don't remember to do that, then you're going to lose. So just remember to reset the fight. You have more mobility than most builds, especially if it's a crossbow, especially if it's a Black Hands build. You can generally run away from them. It's important when you play stalker dungeons to keep your item power at 1000, as close to 1000 as possible. This way you avoid spending too much money on your build, because you generally won't really get that much benefit out of having more item power because it gets reduced by 80%. Another great tip for all of the corrupted dungeons is to activate the altar at the beginning of the dungeon once you've reached, right before you're going to start the boss fight encounter. So right before that meter at the right side of the screen fills up, just go ahead and hit the pedestal, and that will force someone to invade your dungeon, and that way you have all the control. Alright, starting off on this first fight, I get invaded by this guy, and I'm just going to start hitting this crystal here. That will indicate to him where I am on the minimap, which will make the fight happen faster, and you'll end up saving time. It's not really necessary. You can also just stand in the middle, right by where the boss would spawn. People usually come there automatically. So yeah, either hit a crystal or just go to the middle where I'm standing right now. And as you can see here, I didn't inspect his gear, which is a pretty big mistake on my part, but it ends up working out for us. Spoiler alert. I know this greatsword claymore build by heart, so I don't really need to inspect it. I know that I have the right abilities. So as you can see, he's using his E ability without having any stacks, and it's reducing his damage by a lot. So this guy is definitely making a lot of mistakes here, and the Frost Staff is just able to counter that pretty hard. As you can see also, he did just activate his Cleric Robe, and I actually queued into that, so that was a mistake on my part. I should have cancelled my queue. And I also know right now that he is going to be having his E ability up, so we need to watch out for that because he does have 3 stacks. All of a sudden he could actually just kill us here because the E from the Claymore does do a ton of damage. So what I'm going to try to do is, once he uses his E, I see the animation for it, and I'm just going to try to pop my W because it does have that iframe of invulnerability, but I do mistime it. I don't end up taking that much damage, and yeah, we end up winning the fight. Okay, so for this next fight, it's going to be against a Great Curse Staff, and I do get the Inspect on him right here. So as you can see, he does have the Demon Boots and a double Mercenary Jacket because he has the Spectre Hood. So this is going to be a very dangerous build for me, and I don't end up looking at his the abilities that he has on his main weapon. So that was a mistake on my part as well there. I should have definitely checked what he had on the weapon. As you can see, I'm just trying to make distance and change my abilities, potentially. And we're just kind of duking it out right here. He uses E ability and I just poured it away. I used my Guardian Helmet to purge the stacks, or to cleanse the stacks of his damage over time abilities. And I turn around on him here, and this was a mistake. I don't have my boots up, and he has all of his abilities up, and he also has his Mercenary Jacket up, so he just healed a lot, and I also messed up my W. So a lot of things went really wrong right there, but I am trying to get away here. I break the frog there to try to make a little bit of distance, and I just get a little bit shafted on the traps, as you can see, and he ends up just finishing me. So it was a really quick fight, and did not end up going in my favor, because yeah, he had the Demon Boots and they ended up catching up to me in the end. Alright, another day, another invade, and as you can see, I hit the little Spectre mob there, which is another way to get someone's attention. That's also going to inform them on the minimap where I am. And as you can see, this guy's build is a battle axe with the soldier boots, which has a pretty crazy movement speed on him. I do look at his weapon, what he has on his weapon. Pretty much all battle axes do use the same abilities though, so that's pretty obvious here. Now the main goal for me is to kite him like crazy this fight. So as you can see, I'm trying to avoid his Q ability as much as possible to avoid getting those stacks. And he just popped his Wanderlust, his shoe ability, which means he's going to get a lot of movement speed on me here. So I panic a little bit and rush in and use my E, just so I can make the distance a little bit less. Because if he can't run for 2 seconds, that means that he loses a lot of that movement speed potential. So really, I think I have a little bit better cooldowns than him here, so I'm just going to keep on running and chasing him. And I think he does actually end up just resetting this fight completely, but that's okay because we still have full HP and we're just regaining mana. So if we didn't have full HP, I would probably stop chasing and look for a little bit of a better scenario to fight him in. But as things are looking right now, it's completely fine to just keep chasing him. Alright, so going into round 2 here, you can see he's just going to run at me here. And I do just hit him with the E, and I'm going to just slow this down, and you're going to see me hit the W and avoid that damage over time ability from him. So that was pretty important for this fight. And I do also do 1 Q and then move back. That's going to be a kite. He's going to use his Q again and miss, just because I moved back a little bit. So I'll play that back in real time now. And as you can see, it happens pretty fast, but that was just a pretty damn big outplay right there. And he does have his Q up again. He's going to use it 2 Qs in a row. And right here, I know that he's going to hit his E, so I pop my Guardian Helm. And you see he used his E ability, which usually heals him for a lot based on how many bleed stacks I have. But since I used my Guardian Helm and purged it, that means that he only healed for 1 stack, so he didn't really get any healing off of that. He pops both his Wanderlust and Mercenary Jacket at the same time, so he's definitely panicking like crazy. And I teleported away just so he couldn't heal that much from his Mercenary Jacket. And now I'm just chasing him, and luckily for us, he's going to go down for a trap right here. So yeah, that was pretty much a dream one-handed frost fight. Just really outplayed that guy. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember to leave a comment down below with your in-game name to be a part of the giveaway. And yeah, thanks for watching.